She's calling 911 again, Greg whispered, peeking through the blinds of the ranch house. That's the third time this month, but you could feel it in the air. This time was different. And the tension outside my barn was thick as Texas dust, because the HOA president, yes, the infamous Karen herself, was standing dead center in my gravel driveway, phone to her ear, pointing at my house like she was reporting a hostage situation. Eyes, wild mouth, running a mile a minute, waving at the line of SUVs and unmarked cars by my stables, looking like she was about to bring the National Guard down on us. She didn't know who she was dealing with, which was funny because inside my ranch, standing around the grill and tossing horseshoes out back, were most of the off-duty officers from my department. "I'm telling you," Karen shrieked into her phone, "there are armed men everywhere, dark vehicles, badges, it's a gang operation." She had no clue that the man brushing hay off his boots was Sergeant Lewis Carter, or that the woman laughing by the fence was Deputy Angela, or that the tall guy loading cases of water was Lieutenant Jose Vega, and she sure as hell didn't recognize me, Captain Ethan, Walker County Sheriff's Department. So I stepped out in my worn boots, hands on my hips, let out a long, tired sigh. "Karen," I said, keeping it calm, "maybe you should step back from the house." She spun, startled eyes narrowing like a hawk that finally spotted its prey. You're harboring a militia on your ranch. I've told the HOA again and again this place is suspicious, and now I have proof." And then, right on cue, sirens started wailing in the distance. Red and blue lights flickered through the trees, and I watched Karen's mouth curl into this smug little grin. Law and order, finally. She had no idea what she'd just set off, but I promise you what happened next made her knees buckle. Let me back up a second so you know how we got here. My name's Ethan Walker. I'm a 45-year-old cop born and raised in North Carolina, but after 20 years on the city force dealing with drug busts, slumlords, lost teens, you name it, I just wanted quiet, open land, so I bought this 10-acre ranch on the edge of a Texas town right up against a gated community. Technically, my place was under their HOA, though, barely. I was warned from the start. The HOA president is something else, but I figured keep my fences mended. Respect the rules, nobody'd bother me. Met Karen Monroe. My second day here, she came marching down my drive in a starched white blouse, clipboard in hand, sunglasses perched like she was starring in a courtroom drama. "Mr. Walker, you'll need to repaint that barn. It's not regulation red," she declared. I just smiled. "Good afternoon to you, too." She didn't laugh. "And your mailbox leans. That's a violation." Right then, I knew Karen wasn't after peace. She was after control. But I'm not one to escalate, so I fixed the mailbox, kept my head down, ignored her gold star complaint letters. Literally. She signed every note with a gold star sticker like we were in elementary school and figured she'd get bored. But she kept at it. Dust complaints from my gravel road noise, complaints about my chickens, anonymous notes about fence height. I knew it was her. She always left a little calling card. Still, I let it slide. Most of the neighbors were fine folks, retirees, young families, and Hank next door, a retired Army vet, tough as nails, always good for a laugh. Karen was just the neighborhood mosquito, annoying but not dangerous. Then last month I hosted a charity barbecue for law enforcement families, especially those who'd lost loved ones in the line of duty, peaceful, full of laughter, speeches, good food. Karen called the HOA emergency line, said I was running an illegal business. Then she called 911 and claimed there was a paramilitary group on her block. Sheriff's office just laughed it off, but now as the field day rolled around, she was ramping it up again. That morning, I noticed a patrol units cruising by, slow. My phone buzzed. "Hey, Cap, you good?" Karen called again. Said you're training mercenaries on your land. I laughed, but I also knew this couldn't go on. That's when I had an idea. Every year our department holds off-site field days, team-building mental health checks, keeps us sharp, so I offered to host. The sheriff grinned. "Just don't scare the cows." For 3 days, my ranch was full, K-9 handlers, detectives, SWAT traffic, you name it. No sirens, nothing illegal, just camaraderie. Until Karen saw the SUVs. On the last night, I'm by the fire pit flipping burgers, and Greg, my youngest deputy, leans in. "Sir, Karen's coming." There she is, blouse almost glowing in the setting sun, phone already up pointing at my crew. "Yes, I see guns. I'm frightened. Please send someone immediately." And that brings us to now, Karen yelling at a dispatcher that there's a tactical unit assembling on her block. Behind her, my guys sipped sodas, watched the sunset. Sirens. Patrol car screeches to a halt. Karen beams. Finally, officers. I'm the HOA president. These men. But out step Deputy Angela and Detective Malik Rhodes, both grinning. Karen's face falls. Then Rhodes slowly takes off his sunglasses. Karen Monroe. Yes, she stammers. Do you know who owns this ranch? She blinks. Rhodes points at me. That's Captain Ethan Walker, our superior. Karen turns pale. Before she can speak, a third SUV rolls in. The sheriff himself steps out. Karen gasps and crumples knees, hitting gravel with a dull thud. That, folks, is how you make an entrance. The sheriff walks over, arms folded. Captain Walker didn't know you were throwing a party. I grinned. Didn't think I needed to invite you, sir. Figured you'd hear about it. Karen blinks, scrambling for words. There were cars, guns, badges. The sheriff fixes her with a look. You called 911, claimed an armed gang on private property. Did you trespass onto this land? She sputters. I'm the HOA president. I have authority. Sheriff shakes his head. That may be, but HOA rules don't override Texas law. You crossed the line, ma'am. She was lucky he didn't arrest her. Not enough to charge, so he just warned her leave, don't set foot on the ranch unless invited. She left in her little silver Prius, a cloud of dust behind her, humiliated. When the crowd cleared, the sheriff clapped my shoulder. That woman's been sending letters to the station for weeks. I think she wanted a SWAT raid. We laughed. But when the night finally went quiet, sitting on my porch, I felt something I didn't expect. Not triumph, just a deep, sad ache. I didn't hate Karen, but you don't act like that unless something's broken inside. Next morning, Hank showed up with muffins. Wife made these, he shrugged. Heard about last night. We drank coffee on the porch. Hank was quiet, then said, You know, Karen wasn't always like this. Her husband died, Vietnam vet, good guy. She changed, got wound tight as a spring. That HOA board gave her something to control. I nodded. Didn't excuse it, but it explained a lot. Later that week, the HOA held an emergency meeting, not about lawns, not mailboxes, about whether my ranch should be exempt from their visits. Most agreed I was too far out, not bothering anyone. Karen didn't show up. A week later, a letter came, no gold star, just a short note. Captain Walker, I'm not good at apologies, but I'm trying. Maybe I was protecting myself, not the neighborhood. Thanks for not pressing charges. Karen. I sat with that for a long time, wondered if maybe peace had finally found us, or if this was just the calm before the next storm. Well, the storm came that weekend. Getting ready to meet Angela for a trail ride, I spotted fresh tire tracks, not mine, not hers, leading down the back of the property. There, right in the open, was a white RV parked like it belonged. I walked up, peered in the window, and there she was. Karen slumped on the couch, clipboard on her lap, looking like a ghost. I knocked. She finally stepped out, hair undone, no sunglasses, eyes hollow. You're parked in the middle of my land, Karen. She looked at the dirt, I know. I didn't know where else to go. You've got a house, I said. She just shrugged. They voted me out. The HOA board said I was an embarrassment, a liability. The woman who ran everything ousted by her own kingdom. I gave 10 years to that neighborhood now. I'm nothing. She looked lost, not just on my land, but in life. I thought I'd just stay here a few days till I figure things out. I rubbed my neck. Karen, you can't just park an RV here without asking. She said, after everything I did, figured you'd want payback. Press charges, call the sheriff, your turn. I just laughed. Karen, I don't want revenge. I wanted peace, always did. That broke her. She sat on the steps, hiding her face. I don't know who I am without that HOA. That was all I had left. We sat together, and for the first time, Karen let herself be quiet. I offered her a place not out of pity, but because everyone deserves a second chance. For a week, she stayed out by the barn, helped feed the chickens, learned to brush Bella, my old mare. She softened, asked questions, even made peach cobbler for the next charity event. Hank tasted it and joked. Thought she only served complaints. Karen actually smiled. One evening by the fire, she told me about her husband, the heart attack, the helplessness. I couldn't save him, so I tried to save everyone else. Or at least control them. I was just trying not to fall apart. I nodded. We all got our reasons. A few days later, trouble came knocking. Greg called Cap. Someone broke into your stable, looks like a local gang trying to steal Shadow for racing. Karen was with me. She watched my face go from calm to cold. You think they waited for the field day to end? She asked. I nodded. They picked the wrong night. Radio dispatch code read, possible theft in progress. I told Karen inside lock the doors. Use the landline. Then I tore out to the barn, saw the door cracked, flashlights bobbing inside, heard voices, laughter, then the scrape of a rope, pulled my weapon, took a breath, and rounded the corner. Freeze. Put the rope down now. 3 young men faces washed out in the light. One bolted. I chased him across the pasture, tackled him by the creek cuffs on in seconds. By the time I got back, the others were in squad cars, Shadow safe but shaken. Karen waited on the porch, eyes wide. You caught them. All 3? I nodded. She almost followed me into the dark. I don't know what I was thinking. You care, I said. You just spent a lot of years showing it the wrong way. She let out a sad laugh. That might be the nicest thing anyone said to me this year. The next morning, Karen was brushing Bella, humming. You really leaving? I asked. She nodded. Spent too much time judging, forgot how to help. But you saved my life last night. You were here, Karen. That's not nothing. She smiled, still leaving, but for a new start. That afternoon, she packed up the RV. At the gate, clipboard in hand, she finally said, Thank you, Ethan. I tipped my hat. Take care of yourself, Karen. And try not to host any more undercover police cookouts, will you? We both laughed as she rolled off, dust curling in the evening sun. But just as I thought things were settling, Angela called Cap. You better sit down. That gang from last night, they weren't local. They've got ties to a bigger operation. They weren't just stealing horses. They were looking for someone. A cold shiver ran through me. Karen had just left. I jumped in my truck, floored it down the ranch road. Mind spinning. Was she in danger? Or part of something bigger? I found her at a rest stop by the county line outside her RV, sipping from a thermos. Karen, why didn't you tell me someone was after you? She went pale, hands shaking. It started 2 years ago. I let a contractor named Felix into the HOA for a fence project. Didn't know he was dirty, but when I dug, he threatened me. Said if I talked, I'd lose everything. So I buried it, tried to control what I could. Last week, before I was kicked out, I saw Felix again. At the farmer's market. Smiled right at me. Her voice trembled. One of those boys had his tattoo 3 aces. That's his crew. I told her, You're not hiding, you're helping us bring them down. We went back to the ranch, set her up in the guest house under guard. That night, surveillance drones picked up 3 men moving toward the house armed, this time not just after a horse, but Karen herself. I hit the lights, my team moved in, suspects cuffed, Karen safe. Back on the porch, she pulled a flash drive from her pocket. This is why they're after me. All the records, photos, payments. I never deleted them. Was too scared. That drive brought down Felix and 6 more warehouse raids, arrests. 2 politicians swept up in the mess. A week later, Karen finally left for New Mexico, this time for a volunteer program organizing mentorship for foster teens. She sent me a postcard a month later. Redemption tastes better than HOA cobbler. Thank you for believing I could change. But just when I thought it was all behind us, Angela called again. Cap, someone mailed a photo to the station of you and Karen by the stables. No return address. Someone's still out there. That glossy print, us standing together, sunlight soft and golden, reminded me, peace. In a place like this is never guaranteed. Justice is always unfinished, and you never really know what storms might roll in next. So what would you have done if Karen was your neighbor? Where do you stand on HOA drama? Redemption or second chances? Drop your thoughts below. Tell me where you're watching from, and if you want more stories about justice, chaos, and ranch life, hit like, share, and follow.